peer group that takes care of each other. And the setup of that group, as you can see in the slide in front of you, is confidentiality. When they left the meeting, they looked at each other and they said, hey man, it's very important that what I said here never leaves this room. If my uncle hears what I said here, I will be in family lawsuits for the next 20 years. If my wife heard about some of the doubts that I have, I would be in trouble for a very long time. And so they signed a contract, a virtual one, if you like, even with a thumbs up, looked at each other in the eye and said, nothing, which means whatever we say here, never, to nobody. And it's not for you to decide. You might have a friend that you trust. You can talk about yourself. Don't talk about me. And there is no expiration date on that. And under this umbrella of this very unique relationship, something started that is very, very powerful. To be able to really gain the most out of it, we need to be very open-minded. We need to be ready to receive feedback. We need to be open, because it takes two to know one, and we all have a blind spot. We can't see ourselves fully, but if we surround ourselves with people that have an agreement with each other, that this relationship is going to be a relationship that we take care of each other, by definition, it's also going to be a place where there will be some tough love. Tough love means how to say tough things from a loving place. How to be able to share with each other an insight by saying, look, man, when you raise your voice, I tend to shrink with your presence. And I wonder what that does to the people that work for you. What that does to your kids when you come back and this is your response. The principle is that there are people in your life that will tell you things. If you have bad breath, your mother, your kids, your wife, your husband, the common denominator is people who care for you and love you. Forum, by definition, is a group of people that have this kind of a relationship. But for you to truly gain the value, you need to be able to lean into discomfort. Because if you come into the room and you're all John Wayne on the horse, everything is under control, life is fantastic, never had any better thing in my life, no challenges in front of me. As a matter of fact, I'm off to the Caribbeans and there's really a flow in everything in my life. You're not a client. If you're a client in this peer working group, you come ready to work. And when you come ready to work, you come in total presence, ready to engage with whatever it is that we have to see. Normally, people will get to know each other in a deep way. We will need to have a common understanding of why you're here. What's your expectation? What are you trying to get out of it? And there will be a shared vision in the group of what is our intention. What are we all looking for to get from this group? Some people will say, I would love to learn. I would love to grow. Others will say, I would love to figure out some problems that I have in front of me. Others will say, really, I have a more long-term philosophical view of what is it really all about. Whatever it is, we need to have alignment of our intentions or the ability to serve the needs of the individual. But more than anything else, I come to a meeting and I'm saying, this is the issue I would like to work on. The purpose of this conversations that we're having today is to understand this process, to have an insight into it, not necessarily for us to be able to actually do it. And I need to let you know that the true value is in the experience itself. Conceptually, you will understand it, but you might say this is similar or different to other things that you know in your life. When you go through this thing, that will blow your mind. When you become the client of this process, that shifts in a big way. When we work in this way, we create a culture of mutual trust and respect, meaning I can both look at you in the eye when you speak and we sit in a circle and we look at each other and we're very attentive and there's no absolute anything that could deter your attention from the presence. Nobody wants to see you looking at your phone when I open up and I talk about my child that has problems. I want to know that you're fully there with me, and under that umbrella, we are able to really learn how to solve challenges in our life, listen to other people, create this confidential environment, and make sure that we're not only talking about business issue, but we're also talking about our personal learning and growth challenges. To ensure that this happens, this symbol that you see in front of you is important to remember. This hand makes it a hand because it's made out of 5 fingers that are connected to one brain, so it's one consciousness. But the unique thing about this hand is that it's made of 5 fingers that are very different from each other. What makes a hand very powerful is the ability of the fingers to function together. And the thumb is the most important component in this hand. We call in Hebrew, this is my language, role of the spouse is to be ezer keneged, which means in simple translation, help against. I help you by being against you. And the unique characteristics of the thumb is the ability to function against. This is what made the Homo sapiens the rulers of this planet, the ability to do delicate assignments. And Margaret Mead in her research shows that the emergence of civilization, and the first proof of that, is when they found skeletons, bodies that have deteriorated, but you can see that this individual had a broken leg. In the world of nature, a broken leg would mean that the animal is dead. Among humans, as civilization emerged, a broken leg that was taken into a cave, healed, fed, watered, took care of, survived, is actually what civilization is all about. We take care of each other. If I hit with these hands that you see there, the wall and the hand is open as it is right now, one of my fingers will break. But when I make a fist out of it, I can make a break in the wall. A forum is a group of people that operate like a very powerful fist. Not only, by the way, do we intellectually contribute to each other, but we know how to open doors. We know people, and we'll help each other. We will leverage relationships, not like an artificial network of people that you might know from people who were with you in high school or in the university, but a highly committed group of individuals that is capable of targeting whatever is necessary to be there for each other and to leverage resources we all have. To understand the power of this, I've talked to you about the blind spot and the area that we call the hidden. This is in the Johari window, you see it. And the culture of taking care of each other is the culture of circling the wagons and watching each other's back. But what I heard the previous speaker talk about is really this amazing concept that culture eats strategy for breakfast. That if you are able to create a company or a group of people that have a certain culture, a certain value system, a certain code of conduct, they will do extraordinary things. These are many places where this has been implemented. Actually, it doesn't need to be only implemented within a peer group, as we're talking about here. Because once you will learn how to do this process as a participant, you will be able to take it into your company. And you will see that this is probably the fastest way to create agile organizations. The essence of agile is a relationship that organically solves problems and leverages resources in the most efficient way. Forum is that relationship. And when you bring into the company the understanding that we either hang together or we'll hang next to each other, and if you bring into the company this mindset that we're not competing with each other and the success is the success of the totality. If supply chain has problems and sales is exceedingly doing well, we're still in a bad shape because they're selling like crazy and we're not able to provide. An organization is a system of relationship that needs to be consciously, organically aware of each other. When we lose this organic nature, we lose the game. And so our ability to play together, as we do in a forum and in the way that we talk to each other, without ego, without trying to show myself to be smarter than you, but really putting myself in your shoes with deep empathy and helping you see what you need, creates incredible traction for people to deal with stuff. I've done this with universities, I've done it with business, I've done this obviously also with families, because family is also a forum. So what I'm actually telling you, my friends, you want to learn how to make this happen. What you see on this slide is some of the fundamental principles that I've talked about. Just take a quick look at them. I will tell you that the notion of a body system is that we have accountability, and when people make an action plan of what they'll do as a result of an insight, we will be there to support them, which means we don't only live in our relationship as a group in the meeting itself. We have a relationship that exceeds beyond the meeting, in between the meetings. And for most groups, this will be the most important group in their life. I've actually met a group that was 24 years together somewhere in Central America. They said, Amir, let us teach you. I met them in a restaurant. They all are looking at each other with love in their eyes. Que querido, que chiquito, true admiration. And then they tell me a story. Said, we did this exercise where each and every one of us wrote on a piece of paper what I need to see done if, God forbid, something happens to me. They sealed it in an envelope and put it in a safe. One of the guys died in a private airplane crash. They went over and opened his envelope and saw what he needed to see done. They made sure that the widow will not go down in her standard of living. They sold some property. They made sure some is rented. They secure her standard of living. They went to the universities he was wanting his kids to go to, and they put an endowment and ensured that that's already settled. They went into the IRS and cleared some stuff that was bugging him for years. They went to the company and fired the guy he was bitching about for years, but never really had the stomach to let go of his person, and freed that company from that bottleneck, allow it to be managed in an appropriate way without the fights that this individual created in the organization. As they told me this story, they asked me, Amir, what do you learn? I said, well, I learned that you guys really care for each other, that this is amazing. He said, yes, Amir, but who is the client? I says, what do you mean? He says, Amir, how did you become a resource? You didn't get my point yet, they say. Okay, I was really under pressure now. They said, Amir, the client of Forum is not just each and every one of us, it's our families. We take care of our families. That was quite a learning for me about really what are the boundaries or the non-boundaries of this group and of this process. This is the meeting structure. It starts with getting together and becoming present. Sometimes people are rushing in from one place to another. Sometimes something happens in people's life or between us. We need to clear it. We must not start a meeting before we know that everybody's fully here. And by the way, if you're late, you have a lot of guilt feelings. Our system of relieving you from your sense of guilt is that you can do 2 push-ups for every minute that you're late, 2 sit-ups. You recognize that you screwed up because that's a violation of the code of the group. And when we did this, we're ready to do a small icebreaker. I'll show you in a few minutes examples of that, and you'll just have a moment to breathe into your own self-reflection. And from there, we will go into what used to be called an update, and it says this on this slide, but actually is a process of introspection. I'm not updating you. I'm looking into my life and I'm asking myself, hey, what's going on? What is really happening in my personal, professional sides of my life that is working well, that I'm happy about, that I'm exhilarated and rewarded and feeling really good? And what is it that is sapping my energy? That thing that saps my energy, keeps me awake at night, or an opportunity that I'm not sure how to capitalize on, will become the subject that I will define as the thing I want to work on today. And our mindset in coming to every meeting is we come to work. To be able to work this issue through, we need to do some coaching. Either self-coaching on a method that I've developed called non-flict self-coaching, or in a process of a one-on-one with individuals between the meetings. We come prepared so that we sit on that chair. We know the value that we want to get. And I've heard my previous speaker, who was very eloquent and well said in his description, the value of this group is that it's not easy to get a consultation process with 10 brilliant people. You can pick their brain of individuals one-on-one, but then you won't hear the counter argument that they would make to each other's argument. Now you sit in a room with 10 people who have a commitment to your time slot, and they will give you input. I have a client that wanted to meet Warren Buffett. He's in the fintech business. You might know him. He's managing one of the biggest companies in the world in this industry of social investing. And he said to his investors, I want to meet Warren Buffett for lunch. They said, it's $250,000 donation that you make to his wife's charity to feed the poor of Omaha. We're not paying. He says, guys, I need this. I've been following these guys since I was 12 years old. Finally, they said go. So now he has 3 months to go and meet this guy. He's preparing himself. He's talking to people. And one of the secrets of success of this guy is that he will pick the brain of anybody. He can call me at 11 o'clock at night and say, Amir, what do you think about this? And, I'm so eager to give him feedback. He's the kind of guy you want to be known that you've made an impact on his thought process. So everybody told him, because he says there are 5 people sitting with Warren Buffett. I want to be ready for this meeting. So I'm telling this story to a group that I'm working online from Hong Kong. And by the way, this meeting could be run online. Very powerful. If we sit the way I'm sitting here and I look at the camera and you see my eyes and we're total presence. One of the guys has his eyes down and he starts looking down as he's writing something. Now, in my book, you don't leave the screen. And if you're looking sideways, you're probably doing parallel processing of some kind of a note on your phone or a computer. Jim, what are you doing? Shh, Amir, let me think. So what are you thinking? I'm calculating. He says, what the hell are you calculating, man? In the middle of the meeting, he says, Amir, I just want you to know that I just found out that the value of the time of the 9 of us sitting with you for these 4 hours without bonuses and stock options is $100,000. Wow, nice numbers. Don't worry. 2 weeks later, I told the story to another group. They said, we're much more. It's some kind of the competitive nature. I was in Sri Lanka a few months ago. They said, we're only 28,000. But here's my point. If you come to a meeting that it's either 28,000 or 200,000 or 250,000 value of the time people sitting there, what attitude do you bring into that meeting? What mindset are you coming into? You have an opportunity to pick the brain of a brilliant group of people that have been doing well. They had a challenge or two in their life. They fell forward, they came up, they stood, they learned something. They believed in never giving up, and they've done some stuff. You have an opportunity to pick their brain. When my client is meeting Warren Buffett, 3 months before he never stops nagging anybody around him about what he should ask. And by the way, he's studying the other 5 that are going there because he wants to know, who are they? If they can pay $250,000, you can learn from them a lot. This is going to be a big, long evening of this group sitting, maybe even if Warren leaves. I want to learn from you guys. The point is, my friends, this group that you're going to build is going to have that relationship and that commitment to each other. And if the value of the time of these people is such, you better come prepared. You better come to this meeting knowing what you want to work on, and you have a mindset that you're going to get the best out of that meeting, because this is a unique opportunity for you to learn. And when that happens, we roll, because we know how to process stuff. We have a methodology, we have a process. We don't just jump and start asking questions and try to look smart with our questions. We have an understanding that there's certain procedure that creates both efficiency as well as effectiveness. We're a processing machine. We're a smart group of people that know how to talk about things in a systematic way that we will teach you. This is an amazing tool that has been refined. I have a page that I use to teach this. I wrote 12 years ago, version number 1. I'm now in version number 72A, and I already have 73. After the last group I did in Germany the other week, because they told me, Amir, this is bullshit, it never works. I said, how do you do it? They taught me, and I said, let's put it in the process. So you're going to enjoy the collective wisdom of many people that has been formulated into a process. And each step of that process is going to be documented in a short video that I've recorded of less than 2 minutes. And you're going to let me know about my timing, because I want to make sure that we give you time. That group is led by a moderator. We'll train that moderator. But the truth is that each and every one of you needs to learn how to be a moderator, also because you want to launch forum in your company and in your family. And it is my dream, and Jimmy is, I hope, after our last conversation, is going to be an amazing partner and help accomplish this dream, that many people around the world will get the benefit. You guys will start, and we can go very far together with this and really bringing some of the biggest gift that people can have, which is a group and a relationship in their family, in their business, in a peer group, to speak about things in this way. This is the one pager. You're seeing here a very old version. It keeps changing, but it has unique clarity about what you need to do. This is how we start the meeting. We remind confidentiality. We clear any conflicts that people might have with each other. We appoint roles. We make sure we manage time, and we do an icebreaker. Here's a question that you can see. An event that made a big impact on your life, a turning point, or a person that had a big impact on your life. We each reflect. We each take about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to answer. We all become very intimate. We open up into intimacy. Intimacy means into me you see, and you see into me because I'm willing to let you see. And that is the fundamental for this relationship. This warms up, does this to the group. This is the introspection, where we talk about myself, my family, sometimes my country. Sometimes we talk about business, but maybe even on finance. Questions like, how much do you put in stocks? How much do you put in bonds? How much do you give your kids? How much do you keep abroad? What do you do in cash? What do you do in whatever? And then each one chooses an issue they want to work on. That's an essential prerequisite, that you know what you want to work on. This is how we do coaching. This is the self-coaching methodology. This is a very powerful process that converge from information to conclusion. It takes 15 minutes to answer these questions, and by the time you finish, you will either know what your solution to the problem is, or you will know exactly what the question that you need from the group. Einstein said, if I have an hour to solve a problem, I'll spend 50 minutes understanding the problem and 10 minutes brainstorming. It's very important that each member comes to the room and they're ready, knowing what their problem is, what information you guys need to know, what's really the underlying issue, what is the best, what's worked well, what's the worst, what's the ideal reality, and so on and so forth. We will teach you this method so you will become a master. And believe me, when you use these questions, you will see the power of delegation and empowering people, so that when people come to you, to your office with a question, you're going to say, please step outside, answer these questions, and tell me what is your best and second best solution. And you empower people to start thinking about their challenges and the potential problem solution. Question about why, by the way, the best and second best, why two is because if they come with two and you propose a third alternative, their ego is not hurt because they already accepted the premises that there's more than one solution to the problem. We relate to each other. We make sure that we are in touch with the emotions, and that when we choose what to work on, we look at issues that have a sense of importance and urgency. This is how we respond to the speaker. We talk about emotions that we share. You say, I'm having a really deep fear around this thing. We will say, hey, brother, let me tell you about fear. Here's where I met this in my life. In 1982, I was in Lebanon. I felt a lot of fear for my life, and I've also learned what helped to overcome that in that moment. The commanding officer who stood above me and said, Amir, do you see that window? Calm voice, in control, controlling his breath, no panic, help me deal with fear. That's what I will say. It will give you a perspective of the emotional component of a problem. But then we might ask questions. The best ones are thought-provoking questions, but we will also share an experience. And I might say to you, look, when there was a company looking into buying our company, but it felt like a hostile takeover, here are the things that I found worked. Here are the things that did not work. And this is where I really screwed up. But it was only until I did that started working. And so my insight to you, my friend, without telling you what to do. We don't give advice. We don't tell people what to do in the group. We don't assume that we're smarter than others, and in doing so create a psychological one-up. And once we've done that, we offer support. We give you feedback. We help you see through the issue. At the end, it's very important that we help you see what is your really core strategic asset, what is your power, and we'll remind you of the power. We will look at you clearly and analyze, like good core competence analysis, what unique capability you have that equips you to deal with that situation. And it will sound like this. Your ability to logically think through processes, and your ability to put a system in your company that is probably known to be the most efficient system in your industry, no doubt will help you deal with this one. We empower the individual not by patronizing and telling them about their beautiful haircut like mine, but we actually tell them something in the assets that they have developed in life that equip them to deal with a situation. We evoke the power within them, like a lion that says, I don't know what I'll do, but I'm going to hunt, and I will catch what I need to feed my family. We will make sure that the presenter not only tells us, thank you guys, I was really liking it, but will say, hey, these are the 3 things I'm going to do. And then they will ask somebody in the group that they think has the power to push them to be their buddy. And they'll say, hey man, I need you to be the person that will help me stay honest to the commitments. And I'll ask, okay, how often do you want me to call you? So nothing like a very superficial statement. I'll be on you, my friend. It's like a friend says, you want to run? I'll be at your doorstep for the next 21 days at 6:30 in the morning. We will run together until this will become a habit. That is a really powerful mutual commitment and hand-holding. And this is a relationship you're having with another CEO, somebody who is really busy in their life, but is willing to put time for you to make a breakthrough. Don't waste my time. don't waste my time. Don't, tell me that you're going to do something and you don't, because I'm not going to be very tolerant to that. I want to know that we're on this together. And this is a place for tremendous breakthrough that people make.